Good day, everyone. Hello. Welcome out there. Today, we're going to do another top 10 list for you guys. And today we have a top 10 list that's top 10 board games, which is pretty cool. We are a huge board gaming family, just in case you're wondering. We have over 500 board games, and, you know, that's a lot. So this list was, this is a picture of part of our game room. But this was a really tough list to make, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was really hard.
We had a lot of things to go through, so we didn't rank all 500 of our games.
Yeah. We ranked like the ones that we thought would make it to our top 10.
Yep.
Yeah. So please feel free to look up these games when you don't know them if you're not a board gamer. Our girls have really good lists of games that would be great for kids their age, and we have good lists too for our age if you like strategy, maybe a little heavier, thinky kind of games.
Yeah.
But we'll describe them all as we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and if you have any questions, obviously, you can leave them in the comments and we can get back to you about any questions you guys have about them. So, let's jump right in. Shan, how about your number 10?
My number 10 is Azul.
Oh, good pick.
Azul is like not too hard, but like so you like pick these little squares off of a circle, like one of each color, but all the rest of them have to go in the middle of the circle of circles.
In the circle, yes.
So that if you're the first one to take out of the middle, you have to get first place, but also get a minus point.
Yeah, so it's a good thing and a bad thing. You get to be first player next round, but you have to go back a point.
And there's like this, on your board, there's like a square of all the colors. And like,
You're basically just trying to fill in the tiles,
yeah.
but some of them need one tile to fill it in, some need two, some need three, four, or five. So it's, you know, you might get 3 of a color and you're like, should I put it down on the 5 row and try to get it in the 5s, or should I put it in the 3 row because it'll already be full? So the 5 row is really hard to fill, but you don't want to kind of leave it halfway full, because then next round you might fill up, and anything that you have to take but you can't put in a row has to go on the bottom, and it's negative points. So it's a little thinky, but it's a really good game.
So generally, you're making like a tiled wall, like a it's supposed to be really pretty. And this is not necessarily a kid's game. So the girls play this game, but I would consider this not a kid's game.
Yep.
So
this is easy for if you're just starting to get into board games.
yeah, this is a good game.
Good pick, Azul. How about you, Lou?
My number 10 is Speechless. So Speechless is a party game that you're acting. So you get like, in this picture, you get like 3 little cards that are like hard, medium, and easy. And on you have to act out all 6 in the time limit. And the easy ones, and you just have to act. Like if it was a golf club, you'd go bing. And then if someone was like golf club, you write it down. You write it down on a little whiteboard, and then at the end you check your answers. And depending on how many you got right, you get points for that. And this is just a really easy.
So the best part
game
of this game is that you don't necessarily have to be right. If you match someone else, guess the same thing as you. Like, she swung that and I put baseball bat instead of golf club, but someone else put baseball bat, I'm actually still going to get points.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So that's probably the coolest part of this game, is that just because you're not right doesn't mean you're not going to score.
Yeah. It's definitely cool. Yep. Good pick. Good party game. Plays 8 people.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh,
yeah, so that's a good one. Hi.
All right, how about your number 10?
My number 10 is Pulsar 2849. Pulsar is a pretty heavy space exploration game. It has a lot of strategy. It has dice drafting in it, which I really enjoy dice drafting. I feel like I'm going to say that a few times. This is also a Vladimir Suchy game, which I seem to like Vladimir Suchy games, so there will be a few more of those. But I would consider this a pretty heavy game. But this plays really well 2-player, which we like to play 2-player. But I think it only plays 4.
very point salad, which means lots and lots of ways you can score points. So she might do something that I don't do the entire game and scores a ton of points from it, but I do something completely different and I score a ton of points from that.
Right.
So it's very well balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Good pick.
That's my number 10, Pulsar 2849, which I guess I should say is supposed to be the future gold rush. That's why it's called that, like 1849.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 years after the gold rush.
Like finding stuff in space.
Yeah. So. Cool. Good pick. My number 10 is called Lost Ruins of Arnak. Lost Ruins of Arnak, is an exploration game where you are putting some workers in. It has a little bit of worker placement, has a little bit of deck building, and it has some track movement, which I really like, moving up and down tracks. That's always fun. And basically, it's a lot of get some resources, turn them into do some cool things. But there's just lots and lots and lots of stuff in this game that you can do. And I will throw this caveat out there that I'm talking about with the Leaders expansion. Some of the games on my list I would only play with or are only this high because of an expansion. So it is a great game. The Leaders expansion gives you like your own like avenue to explore. Like, I'm really good at buying cards from the market, so I'm going to buy a bunch of cards from the market this game. Or I'm really good at exploring new sites, so I'm going to explore a lot of new sites this game. So, the Leaders expansion adds a lot of really cool stuff to this game. But it's a great game, even without it. I would just say it's my number 10 because of the Leaders expansion.
I agree. Good game.
Cool. How about number 9, Shan?
My number 9 is 5 Minute Dungeon.
Ah, yes.
This is a fun one.
It's only 5 minutes, though.
Yeah, short game.
So this is like a game where you have cards, like a deck builder.
You have a deck.
Everyone has their own deck. Right.
And a card goes out that's like a boss, and it says like yellow, purple, green, or blue. And you have those cards in your hand, whether it's 1 or 2, and you have to throw them out
as fast as you can.
It's a timed game. You only have 5 minutes, and you're trying to get through the whole
You could say it's cooperative. So you're playing as a team.
Yes.
And as the bad guys come out, so there's a deck like this thick, and you got to flip one at a time, and you have to play the symbols on it, but as a team. So Shan might say, "I have a sword," and I'll say, "I have a bow and arrow. Go, go, go.
Go, go, go.
I have a shield.
We need a green. We need a green." You know, and so you try to get through it all, and then at the end, after you get through the whole deck, there's a boss.
Yeah.
It takes like 20 cards to beat. Yeah, like a lot.
That's usually when you use your superpower. Like I can defeat an obstacle, so...
Yeah, everybody has their own power, which is cool.
So the trick is, you can't have someone run through their deck really fast, because then they're not going to be able to play anymore.
Right.
So you got to make sure you balance who plays what cards, but it's really fun because it's super like, play, because we got to get done, because there's only 5 minutes, and we got to get through this dungeon. So I think that's what she likes most about it, is how, like,
it's
it is.
on your phone with an app.
Yeah, the timer is like an app that has different voices, so they can be like,
scared.
But basically, it's just to keep the time.
Yeah.
You don't need the app necessarily, but it is cool to have. And it is kind of cool that all the decks are different.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the blue deck might have a lot of shields. Or the yellow deck has some cards that are 2 items.
Yeah.
Like a blue and a green or something.
Oh yeah, this game is also very good with the expansion.
Yeah, there's some cool expansion stuff in this game, too. So.
The curses.
Oh, yeah, the curses. Waffles.
Waffles.
Cool. 5 Minute Dungeon. Good pick, Shan.
My number 9 is a newer game from Origins. It is Key to the Kingdom.
Cool.
Ooh.
So this game is you're trying to defeat the boss at the very end, and to do that you have to collect your key pieces. And you're trying to go around and do these challenges. Like, one of them is like, to get the blue piece, you have to roll 3 ones in a row.
Right.
Or
roll higher each time, or roll even, then odd, then even, then odd, then even.
Yeah, and you can land in these event spaces and get like companions and stuff that help you moving and in the challenges. Like, if you have this companion, then you can move ahead on space. And so once you get your whole key and you go through a whirlpool, you go to the boss other board, and you have to roll higher than the number you flip over. And if you roll 20 at the very end using your items,
that's probably the coolest part.
Yeah.
yes.
Everyone has about 8 items that help you mitigate your dice, so that you're not just purely rolling for a 1.
Right.
Even if I roll a 3, I can use one of my items that says -2 on it, and now it counts as a 1. The other thing that's really cool about this is the board. It literally
Yes,
flips open, and you get more board as you play. So if you go into a whirlpool, you can open up a whole side of a board, and now you have all these new places to visit, which is super
Yeah,
cool.
that's super awesome.
Yeah.
Flips.
That's cool. Yeah, good. It's a good choice.
Good pick.
And it's from Restoration Games. And Restoration Games basically takes like old games and they like make them gamey, like for modern day time. So you might have played this game a long time ago when you were a kid, but this is like the updated version that has a lot of really cool stuff. I would recommend checking this one out.
All right, my number 9 is Wingspan.
Heard of it?
Heard of it? Yeah, this one's a popular one. Maybe you've never heard of Wingspan, but this one's popular. This is Stonemaier Games. This is a really good family weight game. Honestly, there's only 4 things you can do in the game. You have a hand of birds, and you can either, play the bird, or get food, or lay eggs, or draw new cards. Like, those are your only options. But the cool part about the game is as you play the birds, they have special abilities on them, and when you use another action, you get to do those special abilities as you use that action. So the more birds you play, the more actions you'll get to do, and the game really builds like that. There's a lot of hand management in this game and set collection. You have like goals to get, but it's just really cool. Honestly, the birds are really cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of information on the cards, which is really cool, and really nice pictures of the birds. But this is a good family weight kind of a game.
Yeah, it's a great game that if you've never played a board game that's on our list, this would be a great one. And you want to try something, this is a great one to try.
There's lots of expansions to this too, which really adds more birds, like cool regions
and mechanisms,
and some mechanisms. But at the base game is really just fine by itself.
Yeah, it's a great game. I think it was in my 11 through 20, or something like that.
It's really good.
Good game. My number 9 is a game called Western Legends.
Wow.
Western Legends is what's called a sandbox game, and basically it's called that because you can do whatever you want. So if you ever dreamed of living in the Old West, there's pretty much anything you can do in this game. You can be a crook, you can be a sheriff, you can pan for gold, you can explore new territories, you can rob a train.
Play poker.
Yeah, you can play poker. So basically there's lots of different things that can get you points.
Wrangle cattle.
Yeah, wrangle cattle. Everyone loves
to wrangle cattle.
I really shouldn't say that because, well,
maybe
we'll see later on the list. But it's a great game. And there's a really cool story element to it where there's 2 cards where, like, if you do some special action, so they kind of, like, point you in a certain direction. Like, if you get 2 victory points this turn, you can put your disc on the story card. And once it fills up, you read a story that's only for the people who did the stuff. And so it might get you like a legendary item from the Old West. Or it might let you, get a special card or draw some cards or heal or something. What's cool is that you don't die in this game ever.
Right.
So you can duel each other, you can rob people, you can fight.
They just take your stuff.
And or you get wounded.
Or you get wounded, yeah.
And wounds just is like how many cards you're allowed to hold. And you can heal, and you can actually get points for healing, or cards for healing. But like, you're never going to die. There's not player elimination.
Right.
So you're always kind of in it. Very cool game.
My other favorite part of this game is that you could switch. Like in the beginning, you're like, I'm going to be a good guy. And then you're like, oh, the bad guys are doing well. And you're like, all right, I'm going to go rob the bank now and turn into a bad guy.
Yeah.
So You can easily switch between the two. It is very much like do whatever you want. First one to 20 points or 25 points.
Yeah, you could play varied lengths. So, and lots of actual historical figures from the Old West.
Oh yeah, that's
with stories and backgrounds and all sorts of content. This is one of those games we own like everything for also. So ours is kind of bloated, just a lot of expansion material, but you could get a lot of game out of just the base game. That's my number 9, Western Legends.
My number 8 is Drop It.
Drop It.
It's a really good game.
Good picture. That's our box.
It's a really good game to like start with, because it's like pieces that you get and you just drop into this like plastic platform thing.
Yeah.
It's like a long big
And
rectangle.
the edges of it say like blue cannot touch this, a square cannot touch this,
Yeah.
green or triangle cannot
So all your
touch
shapes are different, right? Like you have like 2 squares, 2 triangles, 2
Three
trapezoids.
circles.
Yeah, 3 circles.
Yeah.
And like you drop them in trying to not like touch another circle or touch another square
Or
touch another
touch your
one
own
of
color.
your
touch your
color.
own color. So that's really the trick of the game is you score 0 points if you touch a shape that's the same as yours or a color that's the same as yours. So
Right.
you have to like figure out how, and it's crazy.
I was gonna say it pretty much defies the laws of physics, the things that
Yeah.
happen inside of this board, because you drop it and you're like, it's gonna fall right there, and then all of a sudden it bounces all over the place and all the shapes shift and
Or it like balances though.
or it balances when it shouldn't.
It
Yes.
doesn't make any sense.
Which is what
Yeah.
makes this really fun.
It's a really good game, really easy to
Easy,
play.
easy
You can
to
pick
do.
it up and play in 5 minutes.
Yep. Super
So,
fun.
Good pick, Shan. Number 8.
Super easy. My number 8 is Wingspan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
So, for all the reasons Mom said, Wingspan is a great game. It's about birds. You're playing them for points.
We did not mention this cool bird feeder
No. That is cool.
dice tower that comes with it. So that's really cool. People
what-
like rolling the dice.
One of the actions you could do is get food. And to get food, you have to roll the dice and take the dice out as you get the food that's on them.
Yeah.
And you have to have food to play your birds, and you have to lay
You have to have eggs,
eggs
to lay your
to
birds.
lay your birds. And
Birds only go in
Yeah.
certain regions.
if you run out of cards, you can't play birds, so you have to take cards. So this is kind of a thinky game, but it's super fun.
Yeah, good game. Cool. Wingspan, good pick.
Oh yeah, my number 8 is Raiders of the North Sea. This is a worker placement game, but what I love about it is how different the worker placement is. When you do your worker placement, you put your person on a spot, but then your turn's not over. You do that spot, and then you take another person off, and that's your person to place the next round, which I think is the coolest part of this game. There are also different types of workers. There are white and gray and black, and they do different things and only can go to certain spaces. So that's what makes it really thinky is like, well, if I really want to go raid this place next time, I'm going to have a white person, which means I'm going to have to take off wherever there's a white, worker. And I mean, obviously that means some of the places are blocked off and, all of that angst with worker placement. But I think that's the coolest part of this game. There's, contracts to fill and you're getting points by raiding things and, you can get people to help you raid that give you strength. And but again, we've said this before, we have multiple expansions for this that we also play with. So I think that also really pushes this up with the Fields of Fame, and I don't even know. I think we play with a couple. So Hall of Heroes. Hall of Heroes. I
Fields
think
of
we have Fields
Fame.
of Fame.
You didn't say this, but you can get points for actually dying.
You can get points for dying.
Because
yes.
Vikings.
Vikings, yes. It's honorable. It is honorable. So, super fun. There are lots of tracks on this too that, like, if you get high enough on tracks, you get points and, all kinds of cool stuff. And I think there's another game on my list that's very similar to this too. So I really like this style of game. This is Raiders of the North Sea.
If this one sounds interesting to you, just be very careful. There are 3 games that say of the North Sea.
Oh yeah.
So Raiders is by far the best of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple other ones which Shipwrights and something else,
Right.
but Raiders is the way to go. Yeah, for sure.
That's my number 8, Raiders of the North Sea.
My number 8 is a game called Prodigals Club. And Prodigals Club is this crazy worker placement game that's like Brewster's Billions or whatever, Millions the movie. Basically, the whole theme of the game is that you're trying to lose all your money, lose all your friends, and lose an election by doing stupid things, right? So, yeah, the theme is a little pasted on, but it's a super cool theme.
So funny.
Yeah. So you're trying to figure out, there's like kind of 3 different things going on. And on your turn, you put your workers out to get cards or to maybe do some actions. The cards let you do actions. You can kind of gain a bunch of the same symbols, then get cards that say like, lose a vote for every one of these symbols you have. Super cool. And then what's really cool is at the end of the game, you score your highest one. So you can't neglect 2 of the areas and then just go all in on 2 of them. And then like the 3rd one, you're going to score that one. So you have to figure out how to be well-rounded.
Yeah, it's super balanced. Yeah.
On all the different sections that you score as well. So very cool game. A lot of components in here. Setup's not great, but super fun once it's on the table. That's my number 8, Prodigals Club.
Oh, me. My number 7 is Hues and Clues.
Oh yes, Hues and Cues.
Yeah.
Cues. I like that one because there's like tons of colors everywhere.
Yeah, just like this box.
And you have to like place your person on the color that the person is saying, like peach, and you have to put your person on the one that you think looks like most.
Yeah, you
like
give a clue. Someone
like
gives a clue, and
basketball.
Then, right.
Or.
But there's so many different colors of orange.
Coral
it's hard to tell
yeah.
when they're on the board. So you're like, is it more orangey or red or
and
yellow?
And also on the like card that they get. Looks so much different than on the board because it has so many colors next to it.
Yeah.
So you gotta look at the board, but you also have to look at your thing, your card, and you have to give like a good clue so that people will think it's that color yellow, but then they might not know what it looks like, so they might go different. So you gotta.
Yeah. So you're gonna score points if you're close too, which is kind of cool in this game. It's not just the person who gets the exact color. So if you're around that person, you're going to get points. Or if you're around those people, you're going to get points. So it's kind of fun. Definitely a great party game.
I was going to say, it plays like 8.
Yeah, this also plays like 8. So
yeah.
It's a good one to check out. Probably not if you're colorblind.
Yeah.
Because it's very color dependent.
Yes.
So.
Super color dependent, yeah.
But good game. Hues and Cues.
My number 7 is Dinosaur Island.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So... Dinosaur Island, the theme of this game is that they discovered dinosaur DNA, and you have to get DNA and things to make dinosaurs and put them in your park, kind of like Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
But
you can also put rides in your park,
which is my favorite part.
Or food stands, or.
And at the end of each round, people come into your park.
Mm-hmm. Maybe some hooligans.
Hooligans, yes. Hooligans.
Yeah.
They don't pay to come in.
They don't give you money. Yeah. And if you don't have security high enough.
Oh yeah, then your dinosaur eats the people there.
Not great.
Not great.
Not good.
Minus points for that.
That's like my main goal in the game. Do not have anyone eaten and I'll be okay.
Sometimes I get people eating.
Sometimes.
They're fine.
they're not fine.
Just their heads off.
It's a really good game. It is a lot.
Yeah.
So there's like 4 phases to each round, and each phase is very different.
Yes.
but a very cool game.
Yes.
And obviously, Lauren has played it and could handle it, so you could probably handle it if you're out there.
Yeah.
It is a tough teach, maybe, but
That's
Yes.
good. It's
Yeah.
fun.
it is a good game.
All
Cool.
right.
Dinosaur Island, good pick.
All right. My number 7 is Warsaw, City of Ruins. And honestly, I think if you look this up on BGG, it is not very high. But for some reason, I really, really love this game. So this is about Warsaw, and you're drafting tiles, which means you get a hand of tiles, you pick one, you pass them. And then you are building your 3x4 city of Warsaw. And there's a lot of situations that you need to make happen, like yellows to touch reds, but you don't want blues to touch reds, and things like that. Or you want your park to be surrounded by different red sections and all of these things. But then throughout the game, the war happens and you lose part of your city, and then you have to rebuild it.
And then
Right.
World War II happens.
And then you lose part of your city, and then you have to rebuild it. You can also build on top of your tiles, which is really cool in this game for like a discount, which I think is the idea of like building on your ruins.
Right, like how Warsaw is actually built. So.
But I really, really enjoy this game. I feel like there's lots of games like this, like a city building kind of a game, but this one just feels really simple and fun.
It's clean.
Yes.
Yeah, the system is very clean. And what's really cool is there are tiles that you can put in your city, and then there are like building kind of ones that kind of give you bonuses for things. So it's really a nice little angst, like, boy, I'd really like to add this to my park, but this other one will score my park even better.
Right.
So like, which one do I want to take? And you only really have one shot.
Yeah, because
It's
your
not,
hand
nothing's
isn't
coming
that
back
big.
to
Yeah.
you. So
This one's really fun. I think also really approachable. Like I don't think this would be too hard of a teach.
No.
Like I was trying to think of how hard some of my games are, and I really don't think this one is that bad.
not sure about its availability,
That's true. I have no idea.
but it might be available. I don't really know.
I don't know. This one is I think a heart pick for me. I just really love playing this.
It's a good
one.
pick.
So, Warsaw.
My number 7 is called Underwater Cities. It is the opposite of what she just said.
Yeah.
This is a lot to teach. But Underwater Cities is basically you are moving civilization to these underwater cities, and you have to figure out how to sustain them. And it is a worker placement game where you're putting your workers out on the board. The coolest part of the game is there's 3 sides of the board. There's green, red, and
Yellow,
orange.
Orange, yeah.
Yeah. And when you play something in the green section, you can also play a green card from your hand. And the cards are fantastic. The spots are fantastic. But sometimes you can't match them up.
Right.
So you're like, man, I really need to do this spot, but I really need to play this card. And one of those is going to have to give. Because if I play over here on the spot I need, I'm going to have to play a different card.
Right.
Or maybe I don't even
Trash
have a
one,
card.
Yeah.
Which would really be devastating, right? Or I could take a suboptimal spot on the board, but I can play the card I want. So it's a really interesting decision. Like, oh, what am I going to do? And like the harvest phase or whatever, you play like 4 rounds and then you harvest.
Yeah.
Or whatever that's called. There's like income, and that part's really cool because you like are really low on resources, and you get rewarded with tons of stuff. You're like, oh, I have so much stuff, and then immediately you start playing, and you just spend it all.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, I need more stuff again. But very cool game.
Yes.
Lots of ways to score.
Yep.
Underwater cities, fantastic. All right, let's go to 6s.
My number 6 is Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So
Tell us about it.
This is a really good game because it's like you have to like move fast.
It is a speed game. How does it play?
So like everyone has a deck of cards. You flip and say taco. If it's not a taco, you don't do anything with it. But if it's a narwhal,
Well,
Go like
that's good.
this.
Well, if it is a taco, you slap it.
Yeah.
So,
So
Taco
you're
slap.
always saying the same order.
taco,
So you would say
cat.
taco,
Taco.
I would say cat,
Cat,
Lauren would say goat, you know, whatever.
Cheese pizza.
And if it's
If your card happens to match what you say,
Everyone has to
slap.
slap. And the last person who slaps,
Has to
Gets
take all the
the
cards in
cards.
the middle.
so it's a card shedding game. You want to get rid of your cards.
The longer it goes, the more cards you have to add to your deck if you don't hit faster.
And there are some special cards, right?
which are normal, groundhog, and gorilla.
Gorilla.
so again, if those come out, doesn't matter what you say, you
You
just
have to
do
do
whatever
quick.
the action is. But this one is silly and fun and cheap and easy to teach,
Yeah.
and
Kids love it.
really love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's quick, funny.
Even though they don't win.
Yes.
I beat you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people are faster than others. You know,
Okay.
That's a good pick. All right. What about your number 6?
My number 6 is a game called The Key.
The Key.
So, The Key is I know. The Key is a game that is you're like there's 3 people and one of them is a criminal and you have to pick a card in the middle of just a big pile of cards and you pick it and whatever it says you like have
It
a lot
gives
of
you some information, right?
Mhm.
And you're trying to solve this mystery. It's very Clue, but not. It doesn't play like Clue at all. But it's
No.
very deduction,
Deduction,
right?
yeah.
You're trying to solve a mystery, and so you can pick from the cards that are out on the table, and they might give you information about who committed a crime, at what time, what did they steal, how did they get
How do you
away,
get away?
right?
And at the end, you have this board, and you have to try to figure out the code by, if you know what time it was, that means this number.
Yes.
If you know how they got away, that means this number, and you'll end up with a code. And at the end, there's these little punch-out things,
And you punch
and
your
you
key,
punch your key in, and
see if you unlock it.
right, or if it's wrong. So
This is a great kids deduction game.
Yeah, it is.
We, as parents, we highly recommend playing deduction games with your kids because we're both math teachers, I think, as we said in the previous video, if you watched, but the problem-solving skills, like making your kids deduce things, is just great for their just development and
Yeah.
thinking. And so playing deduction games is something we've always done, even as early as the game Outfoxed
Okay, so
that we
that-
played when they were little kids.
If you have like preschool age kids, Outfoxed is a great deduction game. This one's a little harder than that. I would say grade school age kids could play The Key.
Good game.
We are on number 6. My number 6 is Orleans. Orleans is a bag building game. So you have a bag full of like workers and they're different colors and the different colors will allow you to do different actions. But as you do different actions, you get more workers in your bag.
Yeah.
So you are controlled by what you draw. So even if I really want to do this action, if I don't draw a red guy to fill in the board, I can't do that action this time. So that's what I really like about this game. And there's lots of parts to this game too. Lots of tracks to move on. Lots of, building houses and moving around Orleans or fulfilling orders or all kinds of things like that. But this is basically a bag building game. You have a bag, you're filling it with more pieces. You're drawing those pieces out every time. Some of the spots give you rewards to draw more pieces out as the game progresses. But this is really, really a fun game.
It's really cool how you can actually start culling your bag a little by sending people off to work on a different board, and then you don't put them back in your bag. So your bag starts little, gets big, and then usually if you play this game well, by the end it's smaller
Right,
again. It's this very bell curve kind of situation, but it's a fantastic game. I don't know where it lands on my list. It's not in my top 10, but it has been in my top 10 previously. It's a fantastic game.
And we have the upgraded pieces, which I think helps a
Oh,
lot.
Yeah.
And we do have an expansion to this too. But yeah, Orleans is my number 6.
My number 6 was already mentioned. It is the third in a row of my Vladimir Succi games as well, and that is Pulsar 2849. Everything that Tara said, it's a fantastic game. I love that there's lots of ways that you can score points in this game. And I'm not really a big space exploration type guy as far as games go, but this game hits scratches an itch.
Yeah.
That's like, wow, this is really, really, really cool. And there's this really cool tech tree in this game.
Oh yeah.
That you can, you can spend your actions, because you don't get a lot of actions.
No.
You only get 2 actions per turn, and there's only like 7 rounds in the game.
Yeah.
But at the end, you look back and you're like, wow, I did a lot of stuff. Because there's ways you can earn extra actions and stuff. Super great game. Highly recommended. Pulsar 2849. All right, how about number 5?
Shane.
My number 5 is For Sale.
Oh, good.
It's a really, really good game.
Yeah. This is my favorite of the filler games.
I love this game because, like, number 1 isn't the best.
Right. It's the
It's
worst.
the worst.
Yeah.
It's a cardboard box.
Right.
It's a cardboard box.
But that doesn't mean it's going to score the least amount of points, does it?
Yeah.
It depends. So there's basically two games in this game, right?
Yeah.
The first half, you're auctioning to buy property. And they're really just ranked 1 through 30, right?
30's the best house, 1's the worst house.
And then the second half of the game, once you have those cards, now we flip over how much money things are going to sell for, and we play our card. We pick which card we want to play, and then we can turn them over at the same time. And then the highest will get the highest, and the lowest will get the lowest. So you might be able to sell a terrible house,
Right, for
like
$3,000.
$3,000,
Because that's the lowest one out there.
and you might get $0 for 15 that you play. It just happened, It's very strategic in how you're playing the cards. Obviously, if you auction really good, you're going to get better cards than other people. The people with the best cards don't always win this game.
That's true.
It's how you play them that will matter. So,
This is a good one.
yes, very good, classic game, For Sale.
Really easy.
Yeah.
And fun for everyone.
Good pick.
My number 5 is Explorers.
Okay.
This is a fun game. You have a dry erase board in front of you, and you're exploring new places, and you X off whatever you get. You get these little scrolls every turn. You flip them over. Let's say one side's water and one side's grass. You can only connect your X's on the board to ones you've already played. So if my X connects to water, so I'm gonna take water. So if Dad really wants water, though, he can take 2 water. But if he wanted grass, he could take 3 grass.
Yeah, so there's 4 types of terrain, and basically it's a flipping right. As you flip them over, everyone's going to X off some spots. But if you take the one that the person who flipped the tile picked, you get less spots, which is a bummer. But you sometimes need those ones, right? And there's lots of things you're trying to do. You're trying to get food during the round.
If you get all types of food during one round, then you get 10 points. Only 2 is 5. 1 is...
You're trying to collect the gems that are around. You're trying to get into temples.
With the keys.
So you have to get a key first to get into the temple. So there's lots of ways to score points in this one too. You can play with like objectives too, like bonuses for everyone. But this is a newer game.
Yeah.
And we have played it quite a few times now, and it's a good one. Yeah.
Good.
Really good game. Good pick,
Okay.
Explorers.
My number 5 is Role Player.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this one's I'm known for liking Role Player. The premise of Role Player is that you are building a character, like a D&D character, and you're placing dice on your board to represent their
Attributes.
Attributes.
Yeah.
So you're, higher strength or wisdom or whatever. But what I love about this game is that it's very puzzly. That you're drafting dice based on their number, but you're also drafting dice based on their color, because you want either whatever color your faction is, or you want colors to match your
certain areas,
your backstory, you know, things like that. We also play this with multiple expansions, which I think really amp up the game, but it's a big bag full of dice, and you draw them and you draft them. And you can buy things from the market to add to your character.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's sometimes the coolest. The card play, you know, like you're not gonna score really high on all your attributes, but you might have a card that says you want your strength score to be less than 8.
Right.
Well, that's cool because now I can actually take some of those little dice, and I can do some different things. You're not all just trying to take the biggest dice there are.
Right, and the coolest part, I think, also is that you're not always stuck with whatever you play. Like, I could put something where I really didn't want it, but there are dice mitigations that you can do. Like, oh, now I can flip my dice over, or I can swap it with another one, or, you know, I could just re-roll it. And then you can try to, you know, fix your board to make it look like what you're trying to make it look like. So, I think the theme is actually really cool, that you're trying to build this really cool character, but there's just a lot of fun puzzly aspects to this that I really enjoy.
Yep.
And again, we play with multiple expansions.
Yeah,
with
the
this
monsters
too,
and minions
we
one
really like
I
that
think
one.
is a one I would pick up. But.
Yeah.
Cool. My number 5 is the only game on my list that I do not own, and it is Viticulture from Stonemaier Games. Viticulture is a game where you are basically making wine from the beginning of the process to the end of the process. So, you know, there's an action to plant your vines, right? Like, you have to start there. There's an action to harvest. There's an action to turn your grapes into wine. And then there's an action to, you can sell your wine at the end, or you can fulfill orders, like people who want certain types of there's red and white, or you can make a blush, or you can make a sparkling. And then there's also cards that help you along the way. There's buildings you have to build on your player mat so that you can do some certain actions, right? You have to build a medium cellar so you can have some higher level wines.
And things age as time goes on, which is cool because that's exactly how wine works. So
yeah, it gets
as your
better.
rounds go, your grapes age and your wine ages, and
yeah,
it's cool.
So I don't know even what to say about So this game has had several different versions. I think the actual thing to say is Essential Edition with the Tuscany expansion.
Yes.
I don't know if it comes with the Tuscany expansion at this point or not, but the Tuscany expansion makes this game phenomenal, right? It was good. It makes it even better, where there's different seasons, and when you're playing your workers, you can say, I want to be done, or maybe I want to save them to do something in the wintertime, or maybe I'm going to use all my workers in the spring and just do a bunch of spring stuff. We actually just played Viticulture World, which is the cooperative expansion to this as well, which we thought was really cool.
Yeah.
That was the first time we got to play that. But this is just a great game. Great worker placement game. And highly recommended. Viticulture, my number 5.
My number 4 is Stuffed Fables.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Stuffed Fables.
I'm surprised this wasn't on your list.
It's a really good game because that's like a book, and then like you can open it to the first page. That's the first adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like another book that like is like a talking one.
Yeah, you like read part of a story,
Yeah.
right?
That usually
What's the
does
story
that.
about?
It's about so they're stuffies, and at night they sneak away to protect their owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
So
From
there's a little
nightmares,
girl
from
from the
little-
nightmares.
yeah.
Yes. So
So-
very cute theme.
And it's cool. You also, some of the like bad things are flip a daydream card or something. And you flip a card, and it'll be like she's restless, or she's calmly sleeping, or she's awake.
Which
And if
means
she's
you
awake,
lose.
you
We
Yeah.
do lose. Yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to stay sleeping. But yeah, there's a lot of dice in this game.
And we're all working together as stuffies. So you play as a stuffy, and you roll dice to help fight the bad guys on the board and help fight away the nightmares. And you can help each other, which is really cool.
You can buy items. You can do all sorts of really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good one to play with your kids.
Yes.
I don't think they would play it by themselves.
Yeah.
But with grown-ups, I mean, you guys were
little.
Yeah, Shane, you were probably 6 when we played through this whole thing. So, and you played it well. I would say it was a little long. Like each story, we only played one at a time. So for a 6-year-old, it was a little long. Like Shane would lose interest.
She'd be bored by the end. Yeah.
But you could stop in the middle. Like there's
you could.
ways to pause where you're at and stuff. We just never did. And this was a fun one to paint. We painted this as a family. All the pictures are all
the little character minis
are very cool. So
all right.
One time we did stop, like that one night where we played, then everyone was so tired. We just left it set up and went to bed. Came back down in the morning and finished it.
Very cool. All right, Stuffed Fables, good pick.
We're on 4.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 is another party game. It is Wavelength.
Okay.
So Wavelength is a game that you have a dial and you see a word and you're trying to describe it.
So there's like a gauge. So it will say old and new, or cold, hot, or something like that. And then on the dial, there'll be an area where you're trying to get your team to guess. So you're like, oh, I want them to guess something. Put the dial that's like kind of hot, but not super hot. So maybe I say, I don't know, the dryer, right? That's hot.
It's pretty hot.
But it's not the sun, right? Or so, that's the gauge we're messing with. So your team is trying to be like, what would Tara mean by the dryer? I mean, it's obviously hot, but is it like super hot? And so if you peg in the right area on the dial, you get points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And depending on how close you are, you get more points or less points.
Right.
So obviously the game's really easy if you always get it at the hottest or the coldest.
Right. But
it's that in-between part that makes it kind of tricky.
Maybe straight up and down, you could say coffee. Because coffee comes iced or hot, maybe that would be like in the middle.
And this is just a really fun party game. It plays with a lot of people.
Yeah, 2 different teams. Yeah.
This is fun.
Cool, good game.
My number 4 has already been said.
Ooh.
And that is the Prodigals Club.
Hey.
My second Vladimir Suchi game. We already talked about this. This is the one where you're trying to lose all your stuff and, score like nothing at the end of the game to win. I love the worker placement in this game. I love the idea of the theme. I think this plays really well. And there's a lot to think about. You actually don't have to play with all of the modules, but we always do.
Yeah.
But it's really very funny and super fun, and it is kind of a bear to set up, but it's fun to play.
That's your number 4?
That's my number 4.
That's really high.
Yeah.
So you like that more than me?
Yes.
But I liked Pulsar more than you.
That is true.
Okay. Interesting. Good game. I already picked it, so obviously a good game. My number 4 is called Chronicles of Crime.
Oh.
Chronicles of Crime is another deduction game. It's very mystery. And it's app-based on your phone. So you have to have some sort of smart device to play this game. But basically what happens is each character card has a QR code, and each location has a QR. So you're scanning people, and when you do, on your phone, they'll talk. There'll be dialogue. And you can ask them by scanning other things, like, hey, what do you think about the staff that we found at the crime scene? So you scan the staff, and then they'll say, I've never seen that before. Or they'll be like, oh, yes.
That belongs to...
Yeah, so-and-so that you can find at this location. and then you learn more information. It is so awesome.
Yeah, and at the different locations you can like hold up your phone or something and you can like search the scene.
Yeah, so each one has at least one spot where you can search a scene. And that like you literally can move your phone around and it's like you're in that room and you're looking for different items, like what's sticking out. And then you can find those cards of those items and then see it like, ooh, let's scan this and see if it's actually a clue. Or maybe we'll ask our forensic friends about this and see what they say. It's fantastic. We play it with the girls. There are a few in the base game. Some of them are a little questionable, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, not like bad, but a little gross. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, like gory. That's what I was looking for. So we didn't play those ones with the girls, but they have since come out with lots of different things. So we played through the entire Noir series, which is like old Hollywood. Those were really cool. And then they have like a Stranger Things kind of one.
Yeah, like Redview.
Yeah, Welcome to Redview, where lots of weird stuff goes on in this town. We played that with the girls. Right now we're going through the 1900s one. Or is that right? 1800s maybe? There's like...
There's also a future one, which we haven't gotten to yet.
Steampunk. There's like an Indiana Jonesy one, I think.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Fantastic.
And lots of content if you really wanted to jump into it and love it, because like we said, there's lots of scenarios that you could do.
Yeah.
They're fun.
So
good choice.
Yeah, I
honestly,
when I was ranking,
think this is like my 11.
Yeah, I just kept thinking I would rather play this more than a lot of games, so I didn't realize it was going to be number 4, but it is.
All right, Shan, number
Top 3.
My number 3 is Pyramid of Penguin.
Pyramid of Penguin.
It is a very great game. It's 1 versus 3.
Or however many
1 versus many. Yeah.
1 versus everyone.
Right.
And so there's...
Tell them what the board looks like.
The board is like a standing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Standing up.
Yeah.
And it has what? Like...
And it's magnets. So the person who's on the one team sits on one side of the board.
And they're trying to catch everybody else.
So,
but they don't know where they're at, right?
Yeah.
So you can't see where the penguins are when you're moving if you're on the one side. But the penguins know where the mummy is. Because there's a magnet that goes on both sides for that one.
Yeah.
So you can be like, oh man, they're so close to me right now. I gotta figure out how to escape here.
That is cool, because when they do capture, you can hear it. You know, it's like
click.
Clicks, and you're like, oh, I got you, you know.
Yeah, and when the many side gets a treasure, the mummy knows where the treasures are, so the mummy can go like, oh, they must be over here, but then they could escape this way or something.
Right.
So kind of
and you're really not on a team. Like the other people are not.
Penguins are not really.
I mean, you kind of are, but you're kind of not. Like you don't win as a team. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'll throw so and so under the bus here, and they can kind of block me. They'll probably catch Lauren instead of me. You know, but if Lauren gets caught too many times, then the mummy wins.
Right. So you don't want your other penguins to get caught too many times, but you also don't really want them to do well.
So sometimes you got to be like, oh, I better show where I'm at, or they're gonna catch
Lauren
somebody
for the 4th time.
Yeah. So
that would happen.
That would happen.
It's a cool game.
Yeah.
Yep. So good pick.
Pyramid of Penguin.
Good kids pick.
My number 3 is another good kids pick. It's Sunday Split.
Oh yes.
Sunday Split is a game that you are making a sundae, and whoever the splitter is makes.
It's called I Pick You Choose. Is the mechanism?
That's what it's called.
Yep. I Pick You Choose. So you have cards, and Lauren's gonna put them in different groups.
Different splits.
And some of them
can go face down, and they could be vegetables too, which are minus points.
Oh yeah, so which isn't great.
There.
Yeah, so you could put upside down vegetables, and maybe they'll be like, "Ooh, there's a cherry on this one. I'm gonna take this," and then they flip it over and it's a vegetable.
It's a
Or
broccoli.
you could put the vegetables face up with a bunch of really good stuff and force them to take it. Like,
Or
oh,
yeah,
that's
right.
great.
Yeah, but the trickiest part is whoever's a splitter gets whatever's left over.
So you
So
want to
if
leave
you make-
yourself something good
Good.
if you can.
If you make them all good but one, you're gonna get stuck with the bad one.
Right.
Mm.
That's the cool part of the game. So yeah, and at the end you get points based on how many different ice cream scoops you have, or
You have a set,
if you have whipped cream
Bananas.
and sprinkles, not just one. Just you gotta have both.
and you double how many of the most ice cream scoops you have if you have a cherry.
So It's
fun.
cool.
It's fun.
building your and it's a cool theme, ice cream. Who doesn't love that?
Good game.
Good pick.
All right, my number 3 is Grand Austria Hotel. This is a game where you are drafting dice, which I feel like I've said a lot, so I really like drafting dice. We roll dice, we draft dice. The number on the dice tells you what action you're allowed to do. And in this game, you are running a hotel. So you are trying to bring guests into your like cafe outside of your hotel. You're trying to fulfill their order of coffees and cakes and strudels, and then you're giving them a room where they can stay. So you're bringing people to your hotel. Their colors tell you what color doors to put them in. You're getting food, you're feeding them, you're putting them indoors. We also have the expansion to this, which also gives you a lot more options of being able to send them to a party instead of sending them to a hotel room. But this one's been out for a long time,
Yep.
and I still really, really like this game. This one is really like tight a game. Like I feel like if you get yourself stuck, you can get really stuck.
You can have a real bad experience.
Yeah, you can get really, really stuck.
That's true.
Or, you know, if you run low on money, like that really hurts if you run low on money. So, there's a lot of angst, like I really want to hire someone, but if I do, I'm gonna have no money, and so maybe that's not the greatest idea right now. You're also controlled by how many of each dice are rolled. You know, the more dice in one action, the better the action becomes, which is cool too.
Yep.
But, I mean, like I said, this one is great, and is this Luciani? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Right? He makes a lot of great games that I think came really close to my top 10. Right?
It might
He's-
not be. I can't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, this group of designers is.
Yes, is great.
This is a really great game. Doesn't get a lot of praise,
Yeah.
but
It must have, because it just came out with the new expansions. So that's
This is
crazy. 10 years or so after this game came out, it has a new expansion. But it's really fun.
Yep.
Heavy. This is a heavier game. Lots of stuff to do.
yeah, fun one. It's not on my top 10, but it definitely has been in the past and had to have been close.
Yeah.
Like top 15 probably. My number 3 is a game called Paladins of the West Kingdom. Just like Raiders of the North Sea, these are the same designers, Shem Phillips and Garphill Games. And Paladins of the West Kingdom is like worker placement on steroids. You get a bunch of workers, and they're different colored, and the color matters for what they're allowed to do. And you can use workers to go places and get points and get more workers, and your round's not over until you're just like, yeah, I'm done.
I'm done, yeah.
So if you can just keep getting more workers, getting more workers, getting more workers, you can do a ton of stuff on an action, which is super fulfilling. And you're like, oh, this is great. Also, there's ways to develop your board so that it takes less workers to do an action, which I think you have to do if you want to win this game.
Yeah.
And that will help you to do more actions for less. Then you can do different things. There's 3 different color of strength, like on the tracks, and like you have to have certain number of strength to do certain things.
As I say, the more you do an action, the harder that action becomes to do.
Because each one rewards you with a different
Right.
color. So you have to have a game plan on like, all right, I'm going to get red by doing this, which will give me blue, which will give me black or whatever, right? So very cool. Lots of different thinky things to do.
Lots of cards, lots of rewards. I don't remember what the purples are called, but those are funny too.
They're like
where you're like
bad
guys.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Thieves or
Thief
something.
things.
Yeah. Which are
Also funny.
helpful, but they give you bad cards.
Bad stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's great.
It's a fantastic game. I would play it anytime.
Yeah.
And we do have expansion material for this.
Yeah.
I don't think you need it.
No.
It's just fantastic as a base game. So.
And this is, again, there are, of the West Kingdom, lots of them. Like Architects of the West Kingdom, Viscounts of the West Kingdom.
This is the one.
This is the one we love, of the three.
For sure. Cool. Let's
Number
go to
2.
2s.
My number 2 is Adventure Tactics.
Oh.
This is another story game. And this is like a one person all the way through.
You're
So,
one
But
character,
you'll get
yes.
Uploaded.
upgraded.
Upgraded,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you are we're a team,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Fighting.
kind of maybe you're the archer, maybe you're the cleric or the wizard.
Fighter.
It's very like
It's like a
D&D.
like dungeon crawl.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it's just we're fighting one boss. So you gear up, you fight a boss. No matter what happens at the end of the boss fight, you get to upgrade something.
Yeah.
Right? You might get a better upgrade if you win, or if you do, if you win and you do something else. But you always are going to get to upgrade, and that is what's really cool. So, your archer can turn into an archer and a fighter, which could then turn into a crazy, beast master or something.
Yeah.
Or
Or,
if you're a cleric, you can turn into a bard.
Yeah, mom
Or
was
if
a
you're the
bard.
I was a
fighter,
bard.
I was the fighter, and I turned into the best one, the champion at the end.
Champion, yeah.
And I was just wrecking
Best
faces.
one.
The best one.
Okay.
I was the archer and I turned into the beast master.
Yeah.
Because I had a little puppy companion.
This is a great game, though.
Yeah.
This is like really fun to just play over time. Like when me and Shannon were playing.
It's called a
it too.
campaign. You
Yeah.
play through the campaign. Yeah.
I was just so excited every time we played a new one. I was like, yes, we get to play Adventure Tactics again.
And every time you get new cards in your deck, so like,
And
my new card came out. That's sweet.
And you could get like accessories that can help you and
Mhm.
stuff.
Very cool.
Very cool game. We had a lot of fun playing through this with our kids.
As a family, this was
Yes.
a fun one.
Good choice.
Oh,
My number 2 is Unlock. Just
Mm.
all of them.
Okay.
So here's some pictures.
I think
of
this is
one.
literally my 11. I think Chronicles of Crime is my 12. So.
Unlock is a game where you're trying to. It's like a puzzly game, and you're putting things together. So if one's a blue puzzle piece and one's a red puzzle piece, you add the numbers together, and it gets you something else. But if it's wrong, you have to hit a penalty button, and you lose
Right.
time. And this is a fun one.
It's like an
because-
escape room.
It's an escape room game
In a
with
box.
cards and an app. You need the app.
Yes, this is just a great thing to do if you have a lot of extra time. Because it's long, but it's super fun. Because I like the idea of like putting things together and then discarding them and getting a new card.
Yeah.
The kids' version of this is also very fun.
But
Yeah.
they've played a lot of them with us, the
Mhm.
regular ones.
Yeah. There's a couple really cool things. They come with difficulty rankings, so you know if it's going to be hard or if it's going to be easier.
Mm-hmm.
They also are completely reusable.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't play one again, but what's cool about this game is like, because I'll remember all the puzzles and stuff, you don't destroy anything, and I can give it to our cousins. Like we pass these to my
Friends,
cousin
yeah.
Ryan or my friend Zach or whatever that is, and like they can then do them and get through the whole thing, and we can just keep passing them on. When I taught my board game class at school, we did one specifically every year because it was really good with a lot of people, and I just did it the same one every time because you don't destroy anything, completely reusable. So that's really, really cool with the unlocks. Yeah, great pick. I think that was also like my 12 or something like that.
We love unlocks. They're great. I don't think there's any we haven't done. I mean,
yes, we've done every one.
We've done all
that's
of them.
Available in English.
That are available here.
Yeah.
So
I haven't learned French yet.
Once we do learn French, we will be
Right.
doing the French unlocks.
Get those too. Soon. All right, my number 2 has already been said.
Ooh.
And this is not surprising because we play games together. My number 2 is Paladins.
Ah, yeah.
So that was what, your number 3?
Yep.
So that's very close. Very high on both of our lists. This one is great. It really is. It's fun and challenging, and I love worker placement. It's thinky. I do love that rewards for one color give you a different color, so you have to try to mitigate how you're going to get the color you want. You know, I'm going to do these 3 actions because they give me each other's colors. It's really, really a great game. Lengthy, complex, but really, really fun.
Yep.
So
Fantastic.
we've already talked about it, but that's my number 2, Paladins of the West Kingdom.
That's a good picture. You can see there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a table hog.
Hefty teach, but yeah. My number 2 is a game called Champions of Midgard. Champions of Midgard is a Viking-themed game when you are going around and wrecking monsters with your dice.
Yes.
There's trolls. There's all sorts of monsters. You might have to sail. The dice are all supposed to be warrior dice, and there's lots of different kinds of warriors in this game. I'll go ahead and say only with both expansions am I going to play this game.
Yeah. Valhalla for sure.
Yes. I played the other ones. I played it by itself, the base game, for a very long time.
Yeah.
But at this point, the expansions just make it so much better. There's other things you can do. You can get end game bonuses. And you know, it's a dice game, so it's a little lucky, but there's lots of mitigations. There's lots of things you can do going into a fight where you're like, all right, I know what to do.
But you are in control of how many warriors you send.
Right.
So if you want to be risky, you know,
Right.
you can be risky.
Which
but
I have, and it does
Yeah,
bite
it
in
does,
the bottom.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The bottom.
So this is
fun.
a super fun game.
This is a table hog too.
It's
This is a big game.
It's a really good mix of like Euro mechanisms and Ameritrash kind of fighty game.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's like the perfect harmony for me. And it's my number 2, Champions of Midgard.
All right, number 1.
Let's do our ones.
My number 1 is Key to the Kingdom, which is a crossover with Lauren.
Okay.
It's a really good game because of like all the adventures, and we like got it at Origins, like Lauren said, and it's just a really good game. I like how there's like quests to finish the key, and then the key, if you go in a whirlpool, you get to fight the final boss, and that's just really cool.
Yeah, it's a cool game. Good. That's your number 1.
Yeah, that's awesome. We
That
just got that.
Cult of the New
Yeah.
a little, but
Yeah.
all right, I'll give it to you.
What? It's good.
My number 1 is a crossover with Shannon. It is Adventure Tactics.
Oh.
So Adventure Tactics is just a really fun campaign game. Like Shannon said,
Yeah.
that you can play it over time, and that how you upgrade your character and can do new things every time.
Right. We said new cards. We didn't say you get new attributes and abilities too.
Yeah.
So
Health.
like, yeah.
You can help give other people health. I mean, it's really fun. It's really fun.
Yeah.
And the story is good too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you're reading the story in between fights, which I think is cool. You know, like, and there's a lot of the game we didn't see when we went through the first campaign because you pick. Do you want to go fight this fire monster
Yeah,
or
you
this
want to go to
water
this door
monster?
that feels hot, or you know.
Well, dripping wet.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you pick one, you don't fight the other. So there's a lot of play, you know, you can easily play this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, or depending on like what items you have, you can sneak around the monsters.
That's true. If
And
you have
also, I think there's a lot of like upgraded characters we didn't even do. You know, like
for
there,
sure.
you know, so there's a lot of other combinations we could have made that would have made cooler characters. Maybe that.
Yeah, we didn't
get
even
to
do the
experience.
rogue last
Right.
time. No
Yeah.
one was the rogue, so.
This is a good one to play with your kids again.
Mhm.
Like, this is not necessarily a kid's game,
No.
but it's a great family experience.
Yeah.
And we had fun painting these minis too.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. All right, we all got to paint our own characters,
These
so
minis are fun.
that was cool.
All right, my number one also has already been said.
Wow.
Is Underwater Cities. Underwater Cities is my third Vladimir Suchi game.
Which all three were also on my
Yeah,
list,
so that's good. I mean, all of our crossovers, I mean, those are the games we like to play together. That makes sense. This is worker placement, there's income, there's hand management, there's route building. You know, you're trying to expand your underwater city. This is, the coolest part is trying to play the cards with the spot, you know, making sure that if I want to take a green spot, I also have a green card I can play so that I can double up my turn. I just really, really like this game. It never is the same. Like, I always have different goals at the end of the game. I always have different, you know, strategies that I can try, and yeah, this one's really, really good. This is Underwater Cities, my number one.
Number one. Best game ever. My number one game of all time is a game called Great Western Trail. Great Western Trail has the most boring sounding theme in the world. That you are taking cattle across the west and you're
Delivering
shipping them out somewhere, and that's it. You want to have different colored cows, which will give you more money. But there's so many cool things in this game. You can buy buildings, which give you cooler actions. You can upgrade your buildings. There's a little deck building where you're getting different cows, and you want higher number cows, but again, you want them to all be different. So, like, sometimes it's better to not buy another level 3 cow. You can buy a level 2 cow because it's a different color, and then you can get 5 out of it. You can upgrade your hand limit. You can upgrade how much you can move. You can build buildings in certain spots that give you special actions, but they can be blocked by obstacles. Oh, man.
You can clear obstacles.
Yeah,
and
it's
get points. There's a
so
lot.
cool. And there's like 3 different types of people that you can hire, like ranchers and conductors and artisans, which kind of help you to do different parts of the game better. But then also when you go into train stations, you can you have to drop one of those off if you want to go into a train station, but you get a really cool reward. So you're like, oh, I really want this guy, but do I... Whoops. But do I really want to get rid of, do I really want this?
I really need this cowboy.
Yeah.
I
want this ribbon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Very cool. A lot. Again, we play this with the expansion too, Rails to the North, which then, it sends Cleveland's in it, which is where we're from. So that makes it cooler. It's a great game. Just fantastic. Nobody wanted any artisans in this game, apparently.
No,
but,
they're all left.
Yeah, sometimes our game looks like that. But, yeah. All right, that is my number one game of all time, Great Western Trail. So, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you guys saw a board game that interests you. They are all great games. And really you can go to your friendly local game store and pick a game, and it's probably going to be a fun game.
Yeah.
So, definitely a cool hobby, great for families to get into, and great to make your minds keep thinking.
Yeah.
We really enjoy that. So,
All right.
anything you guys want to say in closing?
This was really fun.
If you have any questions, just comment them, and
Yeah.
they will.
Answer in the comments.
Yeah. Like, subscribe.
All right.
Look out for
That's number 5 list.
Ring the bell.
Subscribe. Ring the bell.